Hey, hello, all my coreless people. Today we're going to be doing some therapeutic art. We're going to be creating mandalas, which is a Sanskrit word for circle. And all they are is an intricate circular-based design that have been used for centuries for meditation and for aiding the meditative process. So these will be a really nice way to sort of just relax and create some art that doesn't have to have any sort of preconceived notion. It can just sort of go as you go, and whatever you create is fine. There's no set of rules of what you have to do for this, other than that we're going to balance our design around a center point. So the ending design is going to look like a circle or a pinwheel or a flower or a star. It's going to come out from the center of your paper. So in order to do this, we need a square piece of paper. So we're actually going to start by getting our square paper ready. So I've got some just plain old white paper here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it on an angle here so that you can see. So that we're nice and even at the bottom there. And I'll fold it there like that. And this is the part here that we're going to cut off. So I'm going to cut this part off, and then I'll have a nice square. And we're going to do a bunch of folding to start this project. These folds are going to basically act as guidelines for us to follow as we draw. They're going to be touchstones. So as we move our design out from the center, when we hit certain touchstones or certain creases or folds, we know that our design is in check. We know that we're growing at the same rate on each side of the design. So our first fold is already there for us. We can open that back up. There's our square. And we'll do the same fold going the opposite direction. So now we'll have an X in the middle of our paper. Try to be precise in your folds, as close as you can. We'll also fold the paper in half both ways, just regular, so across like a birthday card. Crease with your thumb there, you get a nice straight fold. And then we'll also fold up from the bottom. Very nice. We'll even do one more set of folds just to give you a couple more touchstones to follow. We're going to fold the corners into the center. And don't worry if I'm going too fast for you. We'll pause after this and we can kind of let everybody catch up with their folding. There are other folds you can make as well. I'm not going to go into them now, but we can easily fold the paper into quarters or eighths as well, and just to give you more things to match up with, more lines to follow. But it's not important at this point. So now that our paper's folded, I might bend back on the fold just a little bit so that my paper lays flat. And we're ready to begin our design. And our design is going to begin right in the center of our paper. Before we start, what I'd like to do is get everybody in a mindset for being creative. So we're going to take a series of deep breaths. We're just going to take 3 deep breaths in through our nose, and we're going to hold them, and then we're going to breathe out through our mouth, and we're going to let that process take a moment. Breathe in and hold it. So we're going to count to 3. It's 1, out. 2, going in. And out. And 3, going in and going out. And if at any time during this process you find yourself getting tense or getting worried about what it is that you're creating, take a step back from your drawing and do some breaths again. Do 3 or 5, however many takes to get yourself centered, bring your heart rate down. It's just a great process for you in general. So I'm going to start my design in the center of the paper, and I'm actually going to, you can certainly work with pencil right now if you want to. I'm going to go right for marker just so you can see my lines a little bit better. I think that'll make life a whole lot easier for you. Okay, so let's see. Let me get my markers out, and I'm going to start with let's pick a color to start with. I'll start with this blue. And I'm going to create a design that works along one of the folds of my paper. I'm going to put a couple more papers underneath here so that my marker doesn't bleed through. And I'm going to start with a design that follows along one of the folds, and I'm going to repeat the same design going along all 4 folds of what I would call my XY axis, okay? So I'm going to start with this kind of Just a little basic leaf shape, nothing too complicated, okay? And then I'm going to repeat the same shape on all four sides. And I'm going to go slow and deliberate and try to make sure that I'm making all my shapes the same size. You can use a ruler if you want, but that's not important. Rulers tend to bring tension out in people because they feel like they have to do something correct. All right, so we've started our design. We've got a nice start for what we're going to do. So let's keep adding to it. What we're going to do now is we're going to add to the other axis, the axis that kind of fits like an X through your paper here. And I'll do something different. You can use anything that you want. Be geometric, you can use plant type shapes, you can use blobs, heart stars, moons, clovers. It's best sometimes to make things be not literal. Don't try to turn it into a thing, just try to keep your design flowing. So I'm going to use a little spike shape here. And then I'll add again. Now I'll add back to my original axis. And this time I'll do a little partial circle. And the whole concept here is that my design will just keep growing out from the center. So this will be the end of our first video, and then I'll give you a follow-up so you can see where things go about adding small details and colors as well.